Meet Gather Chunks. This is a chunk locked account, and my starting chunk will be the Lumbridge Castle chunk. I am starting this journey on a fresh level 3 account. To unlock new chunks and explore new areas, I need to obtain items on the collection log. My goal is to unlock Runescape one chunk at a time with an end goal of the trimmed achievement diary cape. Welcome to Logging Chunks. Now, as for the rules for this account, with any good old restricted account, we need rules. Rules drive the way we play these accounts, and I think I've landed on what I believe is the best mix of longevity and scaling and difficulty. And just as a heads up, I have kids, and you may hear them in the background on occasion. I apologize for that. I have no control over this. If you have kids, you understand. Rules time. First off, this is actually going to be a main account, and I have access to the GE. Now, I know traditionally chunk locked accounts are Iron Man accounts. I concluded that a main account essentially would be better for this series. I think it'll make a little more sense when we hear the chunk unlock requirements. Secondly, this will most certainly not be an extreme one chunk man account. While I do love watching that type of content, it's just not for me. I'd prefer to leave those grinds up to those content creators. In fact, this will be the polar opposite of an extreme one chunk man account. A slight one chunk man account. Well, for the first chunk, that is. More on that later. This series will mainly be focused on the collection log, as I'll need to obtain collection log slots to unlock new chunks. Now, let's go over unlockable chunks. An unlockable chunk is an adjacent chunk to a chunk I already have, and I can choose that chunk. No rolling. I can choose it. An exception to this is physical forms of travel. These include things like charter ships, canoes, hot air balloon, the bird travel, and minecarts. No teleporting or magical forms of travel to unlock new chunks. And caves and dungeons within an unlocked chunk also become accessible. Now currently there are roughly 500 above ground walkable land chunks. So having a 1-to-1 ratio of collection log item to chunk would not be too challenging. I think we can all agree that we would unlock this map pretty quickly. So here's my solution. The first 100 chunks will require one collection log item for each chunk. Pretty simple. And from there we scale it up a bit. Chunks 100 through 200 require 2 collection log items. Chunks 200 through 300 will require 3 collection log items. I think you can see where we're heading with this. Chunks 300 through 400 will require 4 collection log items per chunk, and chunks 400 through the rest will require 5 collection log items each. This brings us up to a total of about 1,500 collection log items to unlock 500 chunks. Now, we all know it's pretty much impossible to get every single collection log item in this game. 1,500 is very difficult itself, but achievable. As new updates roll out, new items will come out. Each chunk will also cost GP. This will be 5,000 times the numerical order of chunk unlock. That means GP and money making will have a huge part in this series. This is why I'm playing a main account. An example of this would be chunk 10, it costs 50k, chunk 11 costs 55k, and so on. And each chunk payment will be converted to platinum tokens and serve no use currently. My starting chunk of Lumbridge is free and will not count towards the order. I will also be able to do group content such as Pest Control, Shades of Morton, Wintertod, etc. And I cannot use other players' player-owned houses, and no donations. Let's move on. Now as for the starting chunk, my very intelligent self did not check the Goblin Champions World Wiki. It's a 1 out of 5,000 drop, but it also requires 32 quest points to obtain. And I didn't know this. Quite a big blunder, as I did 3,715 kills prior to even looking at the wiki. But don't worry, I do have a plan. Insert slight one chunk man mode. The starting chunk of Lumbridge will now consist of a few tasks while incorporating the Goblin KC, and I filmed quite a few clips during my journey, I guess you could say, to 3,715 kills, but I'm going to compact it into just a minute or two and talk over it. What we are going to do is finish off the 5,000 Goblin KC. Now, I estimate this will take about 20 hours based on where I'm at currently. Also, obtain 50 fire making, and chop a U-log, all without leaving this chunk, just in Lumbridge, Iron Man style, if you want to call it that. And lastly, I want to obtain 100k to move on to my next chunk. Now, I know the next chunk should be 5,000 coins based on my previous rule about the chunk cost, but I want this to be steep. I need to punish myself for this because I messed up big time. There's not very many good ways to make GP in this chunk. I can fletch and woodcut, sure, but that's super slow. It's about 10k an hour, which, you know, by these account standards, that's pretty good. Honestly, it's not a very big issue. Getting the 100,000 coins will be fairly easy. It'll just take about 10 hours, which, you know, isn't too bad. Now, I do want to say a random event collection log item will end this. If I get one right after this, in this next clip, we're going to move straight to the next chunk and pay 5,000. But nope, we didn't get it. Actually, spoiler alert, we got a bunch of randoms, and I'll leave it at that. We'll see what happens, but I did get a bunch of randoms. I picked up my free air and mine runes. I did some fletching, made some money, went for a steel axe, saving up for the mithril battle axe, huge upgrade. That'll speed up the goblin KC by quite a lot. I was getting about 150 to 200 KC per hour with the steel, and the mithril bumped that up to about 250 to close to 300. Now, I did get Genie as my first random, so I put it on prayer. Nothing really else to put it on. I completely failed on clues. I had no clue how they worked. I should have done more research on the clues. I did get a bunch of Lumbridge steps, but I just messed up completely, and I didn't complete any. And I get random after random. Now, the maze random event is always nice, as you get pretty decent rewards, and this account has no need to do that chest waiting tech to get all elemental runes. We don't need to do anything like that because we'll be accessing chunks in the hopefully near future. So as you can see, we just kept getting randoms that we didn't need until we got the random event. That's right, we got the mime event. We got a emote instead of a collection log item. I think that's about a 50-50 chance. Honestly, I know that's a meme, but I think it was basically 50-50. And it was about at this point when I realized that I could not get the Goblin Champion scroll, so I just immediately went woodcutting, fletching, and fire making. I do want to mention I do have to voice over a few more clips that the audio failed in, but let's jump right into the live. So we have ourselves here a beginner clue in Lumbridge for once. I must have gone through at least 40 clues by now. No Lumbridge steps, but finally I have one. I'm just going to send it, take the 10% chance. I might get it. Nope. And speak of the clues, this is, I think, back-to-back Lumbridge clues. Should have kept that first one, but of course there's no way for me to tell that I was going to get this. But we're going to roll the dice again for a 10% chance. And nope. We are nearing the end of these 5,000 goblin kills. It's been real goblins. We're not quite there yet. We still have about an hour and a half. 400 KC is about an hour and a half. Because right now I'm getting about 320 kills an hour. Pretty quick now, honestly. So honestly, about an hour, 15 minutes if I can do math. It's been pretty enjoyable, pretty relaxing. I mean, I can't complain. Other than I found out a little over halfway through that I couldn't get this champion scroll. But that's perfectly fine. Like, we have a plan now. We're not sweating it. I feel like the task list that we have, the plan that we have, is a fair compromise, because that's probably going to take another 10 to 12 hours on top of all we've invested currently. And if I check that, we've invested 1 day, 3 hours, so we've invested 27 hours thus far. So we'll be coming up on 40 hours. And I wanted to continue picking up every single drop here, every single bone, all the drops, all the coins, everything, because it just felt right to keep doing it. I was already only about 13 to 1400 kills away from the 5,000. I did it for so long already, might as well. It's gonna pay off. We're probably going to get 35 prayer because we still have about 400 kills. We're going to get 35, probably 36 defense, maybe, and 39 HP. It's all going to be super beneficial for later on. Granted, not efficient, but playing efficient is not fun. As for our first chunk unlock, we're going to be going to the Barbarian village. There I will have access to the 10k in the Stronghold, as well as at least 4 collection log slots. And the way we will be getting to the Barbarian village chunk is this canoe right here. Physical form of travel within the rules. Yep, it's future me again, and of course this clip the audio fails on, but we got ourselves up to the 5,000 goblin kills. Now, in the future, I do close this rune light tab here. I fixed my window capture settings, so this will no longer show. But there's the 5,000, give him a little raspberry, bury his last bone, and let's teleport home. So I think here I was showing you the cache, as well as the final stats we ended up on, 40, 40, 37, and some decent HP. And then here's our tab that we got. Bunch of items. The rune light is showing it as 400k total loot, so that's pretty nice. And as for these iron daggers, there was an iron dagger spawn in the goblin hut, so I picked them all up. Each trip I took 2 to 3, so that tells you how many trips it took. So the final price check of everything with these insane clicks is a total of 404,000 coins. Pretty good. My Goblin Emporium is looking quite healthy. So when we get to the GE, that'll be super nice to sell that eventually, if we get to the GE. But back to live. Alright, let's go ahead and sell this last one, and we have 100k on the account. Another big goal knocked out. I'm going to keep fletching, keep selling these till I get 115k. We'll probably end up just with one more woodcutting level and probably one more fletching level. So we'll end on 48 fletching, which is pretty good. Can't complain about that. After that, we're going to start fire making, which will need basically 1,000 willows to get to 50, which will be another 68,000 XP in woodcutting. We'll get close to 58, 59. And the last log for 50 fire making, the penultimate task. And there it is, 60 woodcutting. We have now officially, by my standards, completed this chunk. Let's go head over to the yew tree that we have access to and chop that log. There we go. We got the log. And I was selling the logs, just didn't feel like dropping them, felt like selling them, get a few extra 1,000 coins. Now I know the chunk of Lumbridge is not completed to its fullest extent, but right from the beginning I had an intention that this is not an extreme one chunk account or a traditional one chunk account. I wanted it to center it around the collection log. The 5,000 goblin kills were kind of a mock trial of getting the Goblin Champion scroll, and the other tasks were just future things that will help this account. 50 fire making will be for the Wintertod, and 60 will help us tremendously when we start forestry. And the combats are useful long term. But we could have gotten mage, we could have gotten thieving, we could have gotten crafting, cooking even, I think. We did none of that. So we're ending off one day 16 hours, which is 40 hours in this one chunk. And most RuneScape players will agree that that's basically nothing. But to me, this chunk is completed. So let's take out our 100k, and let's turn that into platinum tokens. The first platinum tokens on the account. So let's go ahead and throw them in their own tab, and this will be the tab we start. Now, future collection log items will go here, and I hope to keep them in the order that I get them. but later down the line we will run into bank space issues. But for now, we're not going to tackle that. We're heading right up here to the Barbarian village chunk. We can take the canoe from here, Barfy Bill, right up the River Lum to whoever has the canoe here. It's within the rules that I set physical form of travel. Forgot my axe. Shape the canoe. Think we can make all of these. Might as well make a waka. And there we go. Float the canoe. And now we can paddle to the Barbarian village. Chunk 1, the Barbarian village. Now the canoe drops us off right there, conveniently within this chunk. A few notable things are the fire and the fishing spots here. Not that we have access to either currently. We're mainly here for the Stronghold. We also have access to a couple shops here. I think actually just one, as well as a tavern, but we're not here for any of that. We're here for the Stronghold. To get access to the Skull Scepter, a creature from each level drops a piece of the Skull Scepter, totaling 4, meaning we have 4 collection log items to obtain within this chunk. Definitely not going for all 4 at once. We're not strong enough for that. Let's aim for the 1st and 2nd levels. And here we are. A brand new chunk. Pretty roomy if you ask me. Lots to unlock here. Lots to do. Holy music tracks. 1, 2, 3, 5 music tracks just coming up here. Super cool. Let's go ahead and get that 10k. So much interesting yet useless content down here. Really wish they could rework this thing somehow. Fancier boots. Definitely take those. I got the 10k. Alright, the Minotaur actually has negative magic defense. So we're going to go ahead and use up all these runes that we got. Might as well, since we're going to need magic in the near future. The first magic level on the account. The only real drawback of this is I have to manually cast it. But these are dying fairly quickly. Alright, and there's 5 magic. Now we can switch to Water Strike. Hey, the first food. Don't mind if I do. And there it is. Missed the pop-up, but new item added to the collection log. We got our first slot. Alright, so we put this in the bank. Very first slot. So let's go ahead and take out our 10k, because this is chunk number 2. 5,000 times 2. 10,000 coins, platinum tokens, 10 more platinum tokens to the count. Now whenever we get to unlocking our next chunk, we'll already have the payment completed. And there is the bottom of the scepter. Very nice. Came a little early, I believe. Yep. Very nice. Well, let's go ahead and put this there. Slot number 2. Let's go ahead and take out 15k. Turn these into tokens. This is payment for chunk number 3. And we are now up to 125k in platinum tokens. First chunk, super steep, but it had to be. We are making a beeline straight for the Grand Exchange. So we have to go through the Edgeville chunk to get there. Let's take a deeper dive into Edgeville and the Grand Exchange and see what they have to offer. Chunk 2, the Edgeville chunk. Now, most notably, we have a furnace here along with a new bank, as well as the Edgeville dungeon. Now, this dungeon is going to be super useful. We're going to be killing hill giants to get that giant key, which is on the collection log. We also have a new general store, as well as a wilderness slayer master, which we're never going to use, at least a long time from now. A new canoe location, as well as fairy ring that we have no current access to, and soul wars. So most of the things we cannot use currently, but we will be heading to the Edgeville dungeon. Chunk 3, the Grand Exchange chunk. Now, this pretty much speaks for itself. I don't need to explain any further. We have access to trading on this account. Let's just jump right into it. We do also get access to a spirit tree, which we can't use, an agility shortcut we can't use, and the Caldegram minecarts that we also can't use. So we're just going to use the GE. And I think this chunk also has a couple clue steps, but other than that, that's it. Now, let's jump in. Alright, and we are back. Now that we've gained all the critical information about this chunk, let's go ahead and unlock it. And there we are. We can now walk into Edgeville. Get any music tracks? Yep. 1 new music track. It's kind of like an integrity check. Alrighty, let's just go ahead and go straight to the GE chunk. We have our payment here for the Edgeville chunk and the GE chunk, as well as the collection log slots that we obtained to unlock these. Just be careful we don't go in the chunk by accident. Looks like we had to walk all the way around, which is fine, but we should be able to cut through right there. At the corner, I guess we could have come up through Barbarian Village, but it's alright. We wanted to walk through our brand new chunk. Let's go ahead and unlock it. And there we have it. Now we can walk through this little gate, opening, and walk to arguably the best chunk that we can ever unlock. Goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more music tracks. This music cape will come in no time, am I right? Alright. Don't actually know how I got this used short bow. I might have accidentally picked it up. I guess we'll put that right back where we found it. Well, now that we're here at the GE, there's no better time than now to sell everything we got from all the goblin kills, as well as these iron daggers that we picked up. We're going to leave all this. We're going to sell these and this and this. Yeah, that should be about it that we're going to sell. Might as well sell these and this. And these and this. Alright, here's pretty much everything we're going to sell, so let's see how much we get for it. And I have a little surprise at the end. So it looks like there's not really any kind of market for these goblin books. I even tried selling for 1 GP, and I did sell a few for more than 1 GP, but I'm just going to slow sell them for 125 to get a little more profit from this. So let's sell all these birds' nests now. So from the goblins, we got 377k. When this comes through, this will be an additional 7k. Let's call it 385. Not too shabby. Alright, everything pretty much insta-sold. So we go from 377 to 648. Another 311k. Forgot about this tooth half of key. Let's go ahead and sell that as well. Alright, 657k, all essentially from chunk 1, the Lumbridge chunk. Now, I mentioned a surprise. Paying 15k for arguably one of the most overpowered, useful chunks on this account seems way too cheap. Even though we paid so much for our first chunk, it doesn't seem right to only pay 15k GP for this one. So I'm going to make this one steep as well. So let's take half of this, which is 328.5. So I'll take 328. And then we'll convert, you know what, we'll do an extra 1,000. Round up. Convert this to platinum tokens. Okay, we got 582 GP left. Perfectly fine. So now, what we're going to be working with is 332k. We're going red cape all the way. Now, one thing we do have to be careful of is buying items that are already on the collection log. As mentioned in the rules, if I buy any item that is on the collection log, when I go to sell it, I'll have to convert it to platinum tokens. So we definitely want to be frugal and be conscious of what we're buying. Like, we're not going to buy this, obviously. But if we buy something like a whip, or an obsidian cape even, we're going to have to sell that back and convert it to platinum tokens. So here is what we ended up with. Full Addy, Glory, Red Cape, Rune Simi, Combat. I changed my Ring of Wealth for a charged Ring of Wealth so we could teleport to the GE. And then in the inventory, Rune Axe, some food, potions, some runes, and some pickaxe, and a Staff of Fire. Pickaxes are to start mining pretty soon. And we'll just sit on this 99k. We'll need it for upgrades and skills and such later on. But let's go kill some hill giants. I'm looking forward to killing some hill giants in this pretty decent gear. 3 seconds into the dungeon, somebody training mage with this teleport. I don't think I've ever seen that before. But hey, look at this. We got some pretty decent rocks here. And we already have ourselves a beginner clue. Can we do it? I would doubt it, but yeah, we can't even get this strange device still. So that'll go right over here in the no-go pile. Oh, missed the pop-up. There is 40 defense. We can go get rune now if we want. I think we can afford it. Alright, I went ahead and bought the rune. It cost about 80k to buy these 3 pieces, the full helm, the plate legs, and the kite shield, but I think it'll be worth it long term. I didn't even notice. Oh goodness. It's a pretty good chance to get a collection log slot from him. see what we get. Yes, finally, a random collection log slot. That is so good. Alright, let's go ahead and put these beekeeper boots in the bank. And it looks like we have just enough GP to access our third chunk. So let's go ahead and take out 20k, because this is now our fourth chunk unlock. Because this was 1, 2, 3, and there is the additional 20 platinum tokens. Alright, and this bone will be our first big prayer level on the account. 37 prayer, we can now protect from magic. Very nice. This should be the last rock. For 30 mining, we can now access Mother Lode Mine and get pure essence and mine coal. Both of these don't really matter, we mainly care about the Mother Lode Mine. While we're here, let's go ahead and mine this coal rock. No, coal. Hey, 43 hit points. Didn't know that was coming up. Alright, no more interruptions, please. Hey, that took quite a while. Here are the spoils from getting 30 mining from 1, training it manually. So we got a total of 60k. It took about 2 hours, so 30k an hour. I'll rate that method a solid 1.5 out of 10. So I've done quite a lot of thinking about my first chunk of Lumbridge and how I didn't get any collection log slots and kind of accessed Barb Village. We'll call it Alpha. Had early access to Barb Village. Now, I got these 2 chunks fairly quickly once I got here. Still doesn't quite sit right with me, so what I think I'm going to do is use these beekeeper boots as a unlock of Barbarian Village. I'm still going to keep it in the same order in the bank that I got it, slot 3. But now I need an additional collection log item to get to the next chunk. I've already paid my platinum tokens to unlock my 4th chunk. So this is chunk 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th chunk will be this chunk right here, just west of Lumbridge. That chunk I still need a collection log slot for, but we've already paid the 20 platinum tokens for it. Then following that, we go into the Drainer Village. Think of that 100k we paid to unlock that first chunk as the convenience fee. Break time over, let's get back to Hill Giants. Welcome to Definitely Not a Bot Farm. If I had to guess, they're probably going Pura bots, because I've actually never seen that before until just now at this spot. I don't think I can even access that. I'm pretty sure it's gated behind some kind of quest. I think I have to do Lost City just to access it from anywhere else on Gielinor. But those 2, totally bots. Look who we have here, Evil Bob. If I can get him. There we go. Let's see, get fishing. So I can either get fishing or magic XP here. I'm not entirely sure how it works. I'm assuming your lowest skill. Alright, let's see what we get. 650 fishing XP, 7 fishing. Oh, there it is. Finally, that took way too long. That took 416 kills. And back to back? Nope. Oh well. Now we did get this beginner clue that we can actually complete. Just 1 out of the 9 I believe I got, or 10. Let's just go send it, see what we do. See how we do. Are we lucky? Okay, we can still get lucky. Nope. While we're here, I think it's a perfect time to complete an account first. So let's go do it. If you guessed complete Cook's Assistant, you guessed correctly. Quest complete, the first quest point on the account. First cooking levels on the account. We got 4 cooking off of that. So we've already paid the 20 platinum tokens for the next chunk. This is the next collection log slot item for that chunk. So we can now access this chunk whenever we feel like it. Let's call it the west of Lumbridge chunk. Most notably, we get a tree patch, which we don't have access to any farming currently, so this is nice. We can do some raking content. We also have the ham hideout, which will be pretty good for easy clues. Once we start pickpocketing some of those, maybe we can, I don't know, maybe knock out some easy clues that way. And also we get the Lost City quest start. Other than that, I don't really think there's too much in this chunk. This is basically just a means to an end travel chunk. Not a fantastic chunk unlock, but a necessity nonetheless. Here we are at the chunk border. Let's go ahead and unlock it. And there we have it. Now, what item should I go for next? I have a few options now that we're expanding chunks a little bit. None in this chunk, but I believe we can either get the long bone, curved bone, which we're definitely not going to get that, or the 2 skulls to the skull scepter. We've landed on killing the cattle pawns to get the top of the scepter, and this is the gear I'm going to be going with. Those Erishian bottoms we're not buying even for 20k, so I'm not sure what the deal was with that. So I went with Zamorak Monk bottoms, as well as a Brutus shield. Super cheap, and it actually provides some decent magic offensive stats, but I can't equip it yet. I need 25 mage, which for 23. We're actually gonna switch to the Ankus. They have less HP and less mage defense bonuses, and there's a convenient safe spot here in this location right here, far south of the cave by death. Yeah, this is way better. Big mage level on the account, 31. We can now teleport to Lumbridge. That is the first teleport we can actually use to a chunk we actually have. And the Ankus drop the left skull half. There is the skull left half. That was super lucky. Let's take out 25k. Well, let's actually put this away. Now let's take out 25k. Convert these to platinum tokens. And there we go. There's our next collection log slot, as well as the platinum tokens. But we're not quite ready to unlock that new one yet. It is future me again, and we are going to be training some agility with toy mice. Now, if you wind these things up, you can actually release them and then proceed to catch them, granting 3 XP per mouse you catch. And our goal level is going to be level 15 agility for a pretty special agility training method. Back to life. There is level 2 agility, the first agility of 13 more to come. There's 10 agility coming in fairly quickly. And here's the last toy mouse we're going to catch ever. For 15 agility. It's in the chat. You can see it. We're going to go to the monkey bars under Edgeville dungeon. That is the key to unlocking ultimately what we're going for. Total, this took just about an hour, maybe a tiny bit over 1 hour. This man is holding a grudge on me. Sorry, dude. This is interesting. I bought these for 17,000 coins, just about on the dot, and I ended up selling them for 23, just over. So that's about a 1k profit per toy mouse to wound toy mouse. So I'm gonna see how much money I can make off of this. This could be some decent money. Okay, the market must be so small for these that nothing's going on. But we did end up making about 8,000 coins. I'll rate that a 0.5 out of 10. There has been over 50 hours of progression in this one episode alone. We learned a lot of things, mainly about champion scrolls, and are just starting this journey. Here are the stats we are ending up on, as well as the collection log tab and the current chunks. I'm glad to be using the Beekeeper boots as the collection log payment for the Bar Village chunk. To have an item associated with that chunk feels complete. I have no regrets paying the 100k for that chunk. In the next episode, I will unveil what these past 50 hours have been leading up to. We will be unlocking the Drainer Village chunk and participating in Forestry, which I've hardly done since part 2 came out, and I'm looking forward to it. We will also be training agility in another unconventional way. The goal? You'll just have to tune in next time to Logging Chunks. Thanks for watching. See you next time.